meeting of the Tuxedo Town Board at 7:03. I will recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Please put your hand over your heart. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ken, you want to start it from here?
Yes. Thank you and welcome everyone to our town board meeting. We have a pretty light agenda here tonight. I'll go over the agenda items. First item is a resolution to approve a sign permit. And the second is a discussion about outdoor dining for restaurants and any other business that may come before the board after this agenda has been posted. We will be doing a department head update. I know Dave Makish is on the line. I believe he's caller number 2, so we'll get to him when Dave, we'll call on you. Dave, could you unmute your microphone and just speak? Dave Makish, I just want to make sure you are caller number 2. So Dave Makish, if you can hear me, if you can unmute your microphone, or I believe you are caller number 2. All right, we'll check in with you in a little while. Maybe you stepped away.
Dave is A-F-U-R-N, A firm. I'll unmute him. Dave, are you there?
Oh, A Fern, I see. Yes. Okay. I'll send him a text. And I'm not sure if Chief Abbott is on the phone. All right, we'll try to identify the chief when we get to the department head updates. And Rob Dolbaum, I'm not sure if Rob is on. If Rob Dolbaum is on. I know Marissa Weiss, our attorney, is on. Thank you, Marissa. Marissa, could you just do a quick mic check to make sure that we can hear you?
Hear me?
Yes, Marissa, thank you so much.
Great, you're welcome. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm just following our package. I'd like to make a motion by myself, Ken English, to accept the minutes of the regular bi-monthly town board meeting held on June 8th. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll do a roll call vote. Jay Reichcott. Jay, I'm looking for approval of our minutes.
Sorry, I got lost. Yes.
Jay. Jay's an aye. Michelle?
Aye.
Ken English, aye. Dave McMillan?
Aye.
And I'm sorry, Maria May is on. Yes, Maria May, please.
Aye.
Thank you, Maria. That's unanimous vote to accept the minutes from June 8th. Michelle, you taking the notes on that?
I am.
Right, so I made the motion, I believe you seconded, and then it was unanimous acceptance. Oh, town board members, oh, that's from the minutes, excuse me. I'm scanning through the minutes.
That's your update.
Well, I think the big item for the update was the successful WebEx meeting on Saturday. I think we had close to 100 callers, I think was the high water mark, averaged about 95. I got many positive feedback messages from town residents. I guess, Michelle, did you have anything you wanted to add to that summary of our meeting?
Yeah, no, I agree. It was very successful. Again, I want to thank the Economic Development Committees and Deirdre and Jim Pandice for putting together the slide presentation, and Deirdre for a great presentation of that. And I think that the elected officials were all very well prepared and gave us great information and that we could go forward with, especially when they were talking about things that we can do even in this difficult financial situation that the state is in right now. So, there's a lot of things we can pursue, which I will circle back to all the committee members and see how we can move forward on some of those suggestions that they had. So I thought that was great. One thing I did want to ask before I forget, if we can edit the recording of that meeting, because we did have some hiccups along the way as expected with WebEx, but is there some way to edit out that and just have a nice smooth presentation, Dave?
You want to volunteer?
Oh, I don't know how to do that, believe me. But if
I'd
anybody
like to
knows, if anybody knows somebody
I
who
can
can
do it.
edit,
It's just gonna take, so I put it up there as it came off WebEx. Yeah, yeah, it can be done, but it's,
Dave, what I could do to help, if I look at it and I can make time markers as to where to make cuts. I think that's probably the most difficult thing, right? Just literally making the edits on a pad as to where you want to cut and then splice, right?
exactly. Yeah, that would be a big thing. Yep.
And then, when I get that done, maybe you and I could just sit down so you show me how to do it. So in the future, I know what buttons to push.
Okay.
But I've edited a lot of video in the past, and so I know the process.
that'd be great, because I think that, a lot of people said they had difficulty getting on, which is kind of too bad. But at least we can let them know that the video is available.
Well, remember that there was a tremendous denial of service attack from China against all American infrastructure, including WebEx. So that's the problem we had that day.
Right, I know. So, but as long as, we get a nice, clean video up on the town's website, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Since we're talking about that, let me leave it to Maria and Jay if they had any comment they wanted to add about the WebEx on Saturday, the Summit of Economic Development.
I thought it was great. I thought all of the suggestions from the elected leaders were great. I thought the presentation was great. The hiccups, everybody has them right now because of bandwidth and all this other things. But I just thought it was well organized and so many people came and that was exciting. So yeah.
Thank you, Maria.
Thanks, Maria.
So yeah, I know a lot of people put a lot of effort into it, and thank you so much. Obviously, this was originally supposed to be an in-person meeting. I think, Michelle, you really kept it together, the momentum going, and Maria put together flyers, and, Dave, I think you did a fantastic job trying to keep it going, even with the hacker attacks on WebEx that day. That could have been a real disaster. And I think everybody on the town board contributed, and I'm very proud that we were able to pull that together. So thank you, everybody. I guess I'd like to extend this conversation just a little bit about how we keep this video conferencing style meeting moving forward. I know we were trying to practice at town hall, and technically we did a workshop there just to try to figure out if the technology was ready to go. And we discovered that the signal at town hall was ridiculously low. So Dave, I know you were thinking about working with Shari as to upping our contract or something with Cablevision to make sure that we get a better router there and a signal. Dave, do you think we need like a business? I'm pretty sure our account is already a business level, so I'm not sure exactly what we need to get going.
Yeah, definitely. I'll talk with Sherry tomorrow, and we'll contact Optimum together to verify that. I can find out if I have the account credentials. We can look and see if it really is. But it's highly recommended if we don't to have one. for many reasons. The other part of it would be something that they don't cover, which is hardware, on-premises hardware to support the Wi-Fi connection. So unless they give us a business router with that, commercial Wi-Fi ability, then we need to call New Windsor. But hopefully they will have that available, and we'll find out tomorrow, and I'll report back to everybody.
That'd be great. Thank you. Yeah. I think it will solve a lot of the problems when people trying to call in. I know they've been having challenges.
Agreed.
Okay. So I think so the other supervisor update would be on the executive order to for opening town hall, or what our services are right now. I was advised by our attorneys, Marissa Weiss and Howard Prater, to extend our executive order regarding town hall. But I was on the phone today, guys, with Donna Matthews and Claire in the courts, and Squilini, excuse me, I had a little brain freeze there for a second. And they are eager to open to customers, and we were trying to work out a process. So Marissa, if you could just listen to this conversation for a second and then guide us a bit about what our process should be. So basically, we want the town hall to be open with limited access. The concerns obviously are traffic flow and maintaining a healthy atmosphere, a healthy environment. So they've been doing a great job of meeting people in the parking lot and responding to phone calls, and doing as much of the work as possible remotely. And so now we're trying to take the next step forward to start to open the doors to limited traffic. And of course, the biggest area to control is the courts. Now, the courts are being controlled by New York State right now, and so they're not able to hold any hearings or court sessions, but they now can open envelopes and process tickets and money. So we're thinking to put a notice on the door that we're going to mark the floor to keep the 6-foot distance. We'll put a sign. There'll only be one person at a time available, allowed to approach the window to make transactions. And basically, if there's more than like 2 or 3 people queued up in the building, we'd ask people to remain outside. With that general notion, Marissa, we're thinking that would just fall under an executive order that really is saying with town halls open, but with limited access. So I'll turn the mic over to you, Marissa.
Correct. There should be some sort of executive order, and we can help you write the language for that. There should also be some sort of reopening plan that can be posted both in physical copy and also on the town website, so people are aware of the policies ahead of time. And that is a state policy that it's not just government. All entities are supposed to have a reopening plan, and we can help you do that as well.
And did you say it needed to be actually on the door or on the website?
It doesn't have to be on the door, but I think that's a good policy, just so that people, if they come to the property, didn't necessarily look at the website beforehand, they know exactly what's going on.
Right. Certainly at the process of opening the door, and there'll be the phone numbers listed there. And obviously the bigger challenge will be when the courts reopen. We were thinking about, we actually looked up a Ticket number kind of a system that we could buy that actually has a remote counter outside that shows, almost like at a deli, what numbers are being served now, and try to limit the number of people that are actually in the building until we're clear through past phase 4 and the all clear is coming forward.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. I would assume too, there's no guidance posted yet for the municipal and justice courts. I would assume that the state's going to come out with something. But if they don't, I think that's a good first step. I would assume that's probably something they're going to consider as well, for traffic court or anything like that.
Yeah, we're considering, we mapped out a one-way traffic flow, so people come in through the front door and exit through the side door of the court, so there's no reason to double back. Because it would be difficult to maintain the social distancing of 6 feet apart through a narrow hallway. So we've been having weekly meetings about this, and Claire and we have the justices on, and they seem to think that was a good plan. And of course, we'll tweak it as we execute.
Okay.
So,
Great. So,
please go ahead.
Sorry, yes. So we should put all of that in writing in one document as part of your plan, and then we can say that that's being adopted as part of your executive order, whatever modification that you decide to do. If there's anything additional, we can put that in there as well.
So I know that our executive order officially has expired. And so, but we were having these discussions and we're trying to debate as to whether tonight, I guess we'd still extend the executive order, but with these modifications posted.
Yeah, we can still extend it. I will say if there's additional, because basically you've been extending it since March, but in the same format, and there's no additional stuff in there. If there's additional stuff, which there will be, or at least a modification, it's debatable whether or not it needs to go to the Department of Health, which I worked with you originally back in March when all this craziness started to get that approved, and that was an hour or two long process. They emailed me back and said it was fine. So that we need to do that. So it shouldn't take more than a day or so. But anything COVID related technically needs to go through the Department of Health for them to sign off on. They probably don't care, but we should do that.
Well, I'd like to open this conversation to other town board members who have any questions or ideas about this.
Hi, Candice Maria. So our vet has done this where it's like socially distancing, where the people do stay in the car. You talk about what it is that you have to do. They take the pet inside. They do whatever. The doctor talks to you over the phone about what it is that you're doing, and then they come back out, the bill you pay or whatever. So it resembles a little bit of what you were saying, having people take numbers, wait in the car, maybe calling ahead. But it was pretty orderly and everybody was protected.
So just to follow on that, Maria, we actually have been doing that, but the difference is no one was actually allowed in the building, but Donna has been issuing marriage licenses and actually meeting the couples out in the parking lot. And so now the courts, I believe it was about a week ago, got the clearing to open the mail. Actually, that required a directive from the Justice Courts of New York, apparently. And so now they want to be able to have people walk up to the window and make payments and things like that. So even though we've been conducting limited business, that both Donna as the town clerk and Claire Scolini in the court, Justice Court, now want to be able to start the first steps, literally, of bringing people into the building in a controlled fashion. So obviously we'd update our voice message, outgoing voice message, explaining that we're open with this walk-in controlled, and as Marissa said, we'll describe that in detail, what that process looks like. And there'll be a sign on the door that explains, if you open the door and somebody's standing there, just wait. We're going to mark the on the floors with like a bright tape. Yeah, 6 feet apart, and just let people know. Actually, what we're also doing is having a sign-in sheet, Marissa and everybody else, so that if there was any need to do contact tracing, there's a sign-in sheet with time and date stamped, for the day. So if God forbid something came back and we had to contact people who were on a vicinity of a day when someone reported ill and said they were at the court or at the town hall that day, that we'd be able to share that information with contact tracers to be able to follow up with those people. Marissa, I don't know if you've heard of other places doing that, but that sounds like a prudent step. I think you're muted, Marissa. I don't know.
Sorry, I thought I hit it and it didn't go through. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. So yes, there's some other municipalities that are doing it. We're advising some of the ones we also represent to do that as well. It's better for everybody involved. You know where people were, you know that they were present at the property. And I think it's also in the Department of Health guidance for reopening just generally for municipalities. So we should definitely consider doing that.
Now you need to unmic, Ken.
You're muted, yeah.
Thank you. I was trying to say, Marissa, if you had a link to those guidance, and if it wasn't too onerous, would we consider taking a look at it right now? Or
If this is the stuff from the NY Forward site, it is, it's on the same order of what we've been doing during our zoning workshops. I'm not sure it's something we want to be doing right now.
okay,
Yeah, it might be a little hard to, because there's a lot of stuff in there. But I can definitely send it to everybody, and we can talk about it further. And
Yes.
Howard can talk with you as well if you want to on Thursday too about it.
okay, yeah, specifically, for the municipalities, their guidance for us.
Yeah, there's not a ton of guidance for the municipalities yet, unfortunately. It's just kind of like spatterings here and there throughout the guidance that exists now. We would hope that there's more that comes out, especially as, we're trying to deal with the post-COVID municipal world. That is something that we're hopeful for. Like I said, if there's little pieces here and there. There's not one just municipal guidance document itself.
Right, I've been looking at that and attending most of Steve Newhouse's daily calls. I'm sorry, I just thought maybe there was a more organized municipality opening checklist, but.
There's not. There's some like private entities have made certain things, so we could send you what those people are recommending too, that we can consider holistically. If there's certain pieces of those recommendations that they have that you want to incorporate, that's something I can do. I can compile that for you.
Okay. That would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Of course, you're welcome.
So I guess we'll table, if you could share whatever links with everybody on the town board, Marissa, that would be helpful. And then I'll share, we could share ideas through email. And I know we have a zoning workshop. I believe it's Thursday. I'm not looking at my calendar. Is it Thursday, Michelle?
Yes, it's Thursday at 6:30 on the WebEx, and just to notice publicly that we're going to have an executive session at 5:30.
So you're saying we're scheduling an executive session at 5:30 on Thursday, basically a consult with our attorney about executive orders and I believe outdoor dining. So we'll follow up on this opening procedure that evening as well. So we can review what Marissa sent prior to that and hopefully just make enough of a written statement that we could add to our website as to what changes we're making to processes at town hall, both for the town clerk, the building department, and the justice courts. And of course, it'll be tweaked as they experiment with the opening and give us feedback as to how it's going.
And the executive sessions also for advice of council.
Yes. Okay. So our first order on the agenda, I think there was do we have public comments on the agenda item? Any public comments? I don't know if we can get it through a chat.
Before we get public
Yeah.
comments, Ken, I have a couple of town board updates. I know that I don't usually, that's why you didn't think to call on me, but I've got some today.
Absolutely. Please go ahead, Jay.
Okay, so first off, I'd like to thank Rob for taking care of getting Lucky Park chained off. We'll need to look at that further for what we're going to do with the park, but for now, at least, we're stopping the cars from getting past the very edge of the road. So I hope that helped over the weekend for the people in the East Village. More importantly, just a quick update on our ADA improvements for Town Hall, which is a community development block grant funded project. A couple of meetings ago, we rejected all the bids because they were too expensive. We have revised the bid and getting it out to rebid. It's advertising this week for a different structure to the project that will let us use the funds that we do have effectively. We also applied for an amendment to our grant. There was additional monies made available due to COVID, and we got to stack more money. So we have the ability to do the project. And so that will be moving forward as quickly as possible. We're looking at other possible projects for this year, although they didn't switch the deadlines for those applications, and I'm not sure we're going to be able to get all the paperwork done in time to apply for this year, but we'll see what we can do. All right, that's my update. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That was an update. We're all,
If I could add a thank you to Jay and to Al Fusco for getting that additional funding too. Al was very helpful with that, so that's good.
thank you. Absolutely. Since we're getting updates from town board members, Maria or Michelle or Dave, if you had anything, please go ahead.
I don't have anything.
Thank you, Dave.
I just have a really quick update. So we have taken pictures. We're collecting them. We have a mock-up of our website. It's the first mock-up, and we are now discussing whether to keep the logo the way it is, which didn't look terrible, or add a picture to it. But the thing is that for that first picture, it has to be a very large picture. It has to be 2,000 megapixels. So we're working on getting a picture that is almost everything that we have already is too small. So I'm working with Jeff Welch, and he and I are going to do a little bit more work on it to try to get a picture for some pictures for the front. But everybody who's been really helpful, Betty and Meg and Michelle and Sue and sharing pictures and ideas. So we're getting there.
Yes, I know you and I spent about 90 minutes the other night going over it, and it was very impressive. really coming together. I know it's going to be a big upgrade to our presence on the web, and also when we get this video conferencing linked into that, I think we'll really take a step into the 21st century with processing payments. But I've been speaking to Brian about how we can even get, as you and I were discussing, access to payroll records for employees and things like that. So it all seems doable, and I know we're going to keep chunking along and get it done.
Yeah, I was thinking as we get the design done or more or less done, then I think we're going to have to meet about the actual content. Michelle and Dave and I and Marissa, not Marissa Dolbaum, we had some ideas of what we thought should go there. So for example, we just added a WebEx button so that, we'll have that as well. But I think we'll have to meet as a board, maybe some sort of workshop to go over, what content should be there since we're kind of starting from scratch.
Yeah, I would suggest that we're getting well advanced on the zoning workshops that we've been doing. With the amount of work and focus that'll take to really give this website its due review, as you guys are ready to show up a beta demonstration, and I think we need to have some kind of a workshop, Maria, so that we're not distracted by all the other stuff that happens in a town board meeting. So if you want to talk about scheduling that, I'd be happy to work with you on that.
Okay, sounds good.
So if you, give us like a 2-week upfront so we can make sure we're not doing it the same week when we're doing a zoning workshop or anything, because it's been getting hectic, and we want to make sure we give it our full attention because it's a great project. So thank you for that update and the work that you guys are doing on it.
So I think David has to be part of it. We have to make sure, because he has all the technical know-how that we'll need for that second step, more so than just the design stuff. So.
Oh yeah, we won't do it without full board participation. So we'll just find a convenient date, as convenient as possible. Dave, did you want to say something? Please go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, I've been remiss in the creative part because I'm patiently waiting on the administration part, which is where all the bells and whistles live and where all the stuff that we need to make happen is going to happen. So I'm going to be working with those guys closely on that. So, Maria, I haven't spoken to the contacts at Civic Plus. Have they indicated to you a timeline when we will be able to at least touch a live beta of the website and not instead of a picture of it?
I just got an email from her. So, what we've been doing is still the design stuff. So, I shared with you that mock-up. I got some feedback. Then I give it back to her, and then she, clarifies. So it's a lot of emailing back and forth right now. I think it's up to us, as long as we get our act together to tell her this is what we need, and as long as we get the right size pictures to put, particularly in the beginning page. The other ones, I think we don't have to worry so much. But some that I thought were really large pictures were still not like 900 megapixels. So it's just working with Jeff and just experimenting with, turning the cameras in certain ways, and because it has to be a certain way for it to be that, because it's going to be the whole website with that page is that picture with the lines and the bars for the information and the buttons and stuff. But so that's basically.
So that's the containers. So if they set up the containers, we can always fill them later, and we just need that look and feel. Yeah.
I will share with you all of it's boring, but it's all the back and forth about. So you want this, and I was like, the WebEx, and it looked busy on the top, and she.
No, sure, yeah, and that's really not my forte, creativity. So If you need help though, because I'd like to see I'd like to come out of mock-up and get to beta as quickly as possible, remembering that we're the only ones that are going to see it while it's in development. And I need to test the functionality. I need to build some modules for the WebEx stuff, for the YouTube stuff with them, because I have my own code that I'm using, so they're interested in using it. So the quicker we can actually get our hands into an administrative panel, and then we can worry about adding all the pictures and all that stuff in the containers later when we launch it, that would be great.
Dave, one of the things that I did do this time was in the action buttons. So that list of buttons that were at the bottom, so that people can go. One of them is going to be the WebEx. Sign into the WebEx.
Yeah, but what I meant was I have to, because we're using URL shorteners and stuff like that. So we need some custom code and CMS in there. So, and it's no big deal. It's just some technical stuff that has to happen, but we need that functionality on our end as well. We need to be able to replace the code. So that's what I'm saying, right? It's that stuff is not going away, even though that they're rendering the website. Pretty much 90% of the administration will fall to us. That's why it's important. I feel at least I can get some sort of administrative touch, look and feel, so I can see, how they built the containers. And whether or not, that you're happy with what you see and your team is happy with what you see, that's great. And if you move stuff around, that's fine too. I'm talking about the hidden mechanisms behind all of that stuff, right? So but once we move it around, it's fine. But I just want to start working on some of that. So I can actually reach out to that development team and find out too for that specific reason. So thank you for all you're doing on that, by the way.
No problem. It's fun.
So as you and I were discussing, Maria, again, more on the technical back end side. So like if the courts were trying to accept payments online and I was talking to Brian about like payroll information, making those links with the companies that deal with that. I obviously have no knowledge of, the financial side of how the court is accepting payments. And so maybe it's time that we bring Claire Squilini in on that conversation just to figure out, how their vendor for accepting payments. I really don't have that knowledge of because I'm sure, like as you and I were looking at other town websites where, people want to be able to make a payment on a traffic ticket without having to come into Tuxedo. It's not clear in my mind how we make that happen, but we can make a checklist of things like that still need to be accomplished. That works for you.
Yeah, no, Dave, we talked to them about that already. They said that they could actually link up to the system that we use now or use a different system, right?
Yes, I mean they can pretty much do anything with any payment purveyor. Currently, right now, though, we don't have any, and that would be for Donna to answer. I'm not sure I don't think we accept credit cards or PayPal or any of that stuff. So that's a prerequisite, right? We have to determine what we're going to accept before we can actually build the module on the website. So, and that's an easy thing. I don't want you to feel that building the module is like a 5-day thing. It's just a couple of lines of code. But first we have to have the accounts established and we have to have the approvals for those accounts. I mean, certainly the courts shied away from accepting credit cards or debit cards because they have to pay, a percentage, like 2 or 3% per transaction. I think that's something the town board needs to weigh as well when we look at a solution for that. So I agree with you, Ken. We probably need to pull Claire in. The court will be the only caveat there. I think the town board can pretty much decide how we're going to take payments online collectively. So we can have that conversation soon and look at the options.
Yeah, I'd really like to look at that because, I do understand the service fees that go along with those kind of transactions. But, I think the India Mayberry Flintstones model, we need to graduate from that no matter what. And I'm sure Donna and Marissa could really benefit. I think actually if you figured out all the manual transaction time that goes into processing things and lugging stuff to the bank and keep, you'd have all automated records from these vendors. And, there's a big plus to that as well, so.
Agree, totally agree.
So Donna,
I agree with that too. We need to move in that direction.
I know Donna's on this call. I'd like to hear what Donna, just the chat. I would imagine there's a lot of challenges of just tallying cash and checks, and I would imagine you guys are interested in this kind of functionality, right, Donna? And you're muted. Okay, please go ahead.
Hi. So, most of the public will ask, can we just do it online? It's nice to see all their faces when they come in, but everybody's so busy nowadays. And now with the COVID thing, everybody's asking, can't we just do it online? So I agree. I mean, we're pretty antiquated when it comes to that. I think the challenge would be with the court, but that's something you could talk to Claire and the judges about. But we're all for it. And
Okay.
Sherry upstairs with the, the parking permits monthly and all of that would be great to do it online.
Yeah, I mean, if it was turned out to be a real issue of the difference in the fee, maybe we'd have to look into what other towns do. I mean, do you actually tag on a handling fee, for that service? I mean, if it's $2.50, whatever it may be, I don't know, but I really can't imagine us not going forward with that kind of stuff. The public wants it. It's a safety issue. God forbid, why should you guys be handling cash and that kind of stuff when, people come into a little town hall? We've talked about security there as an issue. And, if people was thinking on court day, oh my God, these guys have all this cash here, I mean, it's not far fetched.
That's exactly what we've always said, Ken, like, it's out there, like Tuxedo takes cash only. When they get their tickets and their fines, it's highlighted cash only.
Yeah.
So who's to say they're not going to wait for Claire or somebody to leave the building to go to the bank? I mean, you hate to think that way, but
Plus, no, it's just an expectation. I mean, that people need to be. We get a lot of
convenience.
traffic issues. People who are just passing through. They need to be able to pay remotely. If you live in Georgia, you don't want to have to come to Tuxedo to pay your fine or mail checks and that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm glad you're on board with that. We definitely need to have a serious conversation with the justices and Claire, and then figure out if, I guess they do not yet have these kind of arrangements like Dave is saying with PayPal or.
Oh, no, not at all.
So I'm not sure whose job it would be to figure that out. I'd certainly want to participate and, decide. I'm sure we could just reach out to other courts and other municipalities as to what they're doing. I'm sure if you just even look on their website, it's going to say PayPal or whatever's accepted.
Here.
Yeah,
But maybe
exactly.
tomorrow, if you have a spare minute, give Claire a call. And just ask her. I know there was a reason why they stopped doing it, and I do think it's the fees, but I've paid at places where you, like O&R, I believe you can pay one way, but there's a little fee, or you can pay another way. So if somebody's got to pay an extra $1 to pay online, I think they would go
Yeah.
for it, instead of using their gas and all of that. Convenience.
Well, I'll be at town hall tomorrow, and I'll make sure that we schedule some time to get that. Because I don't want to go too far. Excuse me. I don't want to go too far, Maria, on the website without making sure that we miss that opportunity to work with our Civics Plus people to make that happen.
There are payment options too that, like younger people use, like, Venmo and Zelle. And Zelle particularly, I've used it before and they're good. They go through your bank, they need verification, second, whatever verification from your bank. So that's
Verification, yeah.
Two-step verification. So I think I'll look up what other, I will make data research. I'll look up and see what the other I have so many websites that I that I can look at what they do.
Okay.
Again, just so you know, we just need one merchant point of sale solution for everything. And there's plenty of competitive offerings out there right now. I know that some people that I work with, they use Square. It has like a minimal, like 1% handling fee. But I'm gonna also reach out to Civic Plus because they're probably already doing that with some of the other municipal customers that they have. And like I said, there's an endless list of merchant point of sale options for web front end. So we'll have that discussion offline.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to make sure that we don't miss that opportunity working with the Civics Plus people. So thank you. And we will move that conversation offline, but we don't get enough opportunity to meet together. And Michelle, please go ahead.
No, before you go on, I just want to say something before you go on to agenda items, that's all.
Please go ahead if I'm done.
Oh, you're done? Oh, okay. I know at the last zoning workshop, people had been, right before that, people had been asking when they could ask questions. And for those people who are on the call tonight who weren't on that call, the discussion was that we would have several more zoning workshops and then open it up to public hearings. And we anticipated that those would probably start in September. So just so people understand the sort of the timing of our rezoning.
Well, that was actually a good segue because we're trying to take public comment on agenda items, although the agenda items, I don't know how much public comment you're going to get on them, but this is the opportunity. If anybody has public comment on an agenda item, you can actually raise your hand, I believe, on this. I'm not sure, or under participant, certainly a chat. Or you can unmute your microphone one at a time. And if anybody has a comment, I'm going to pause to see if anybody jumps in. Okay, well, thank you. So I think it's time to move to our first agenda item. I'm scanning through our packet. So we have our first agenda item is a resolution to approve a sign permit, Long Street and Associates. I'll read it and then I'll ask for a second. A motion that the town board hereby issue a special sign permit to Long Street and Associates doing business as the Tuxedo Park Fine Homes from June 20th through June 21st, approximately, at which time the signs will be removed. Long Street and Associates are responsible to pay the $25 permit fee. I guess it seems to read as one sign as opposed to multiple signs. Is that our interpretation of this, that it's one sign?
Yeah, the size of it is, I'd like to get.
Oh, I see in the permit. Yeah, please, let's take a look at the actual permit.
It'll be on Route 17, right before Stevens Lane coming south. They used to have a sign there, I believe. The Park School had a sign there.
Was it that large, Donna?
It's 4 feet by 4 feet.
I believe it was, yeah. I mean,
That's what
years
it's saying
ago.
here.
I read through the, I mean, there are so many different size requirements for signs in the code that Howard forwarded to us. I mean, some signs are supposed to be 6 square feet, some other signs are 12. This is 16 square feet, 8 feet high. So I just don't know where this falls in our code. I couldn't see anything that would allow a sign this large.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, this is basically for a year.
Yes. And then it says it's commercial land, and I'm not sure. Jay was looking it up.
I can weigh in on that. In the current zoning, that lot is part of residential district. It's R3, which is basically half-acre lots, 20,000 square foot lots. Single or two-family homes. In the draft zoning map that we're currently looking at as part of the zoning modifications, it remains R3. The other side of Route 17 in the current zoning is a business district, and in the new zoning, it'll be a business district.
Right.
But there's another map. There's the unofficial zoning map that the Orange County maintains, which is listed as being unofficial and listed as being not necessarily accurate. But in that map, that property is marked as being part of the neighborhood business district. Now, that's an error on the part of the county and doesn't carry any weight of law. But I think that as part of whatever we do here, we should make sure that we should note that to Tuxedo Park Fine Homes.
Right, it doesn't, I question them advertising it as commercial land.
They can't. It's not commercial land. Now, we of course could change it in the new zoning, but we hadn't contemplated doing that. And I'm not sure why we would.
Right, it's right next to residential houses. So
Right next to residential. The current zoning shows the properties to the north and west as being R1. But the new zoning shows those properties as being special recreation, because I'm assuming that's part of the Sterling Forest tracts that have gone over to the state.
correct. I believe it's Fox Hill, but I don't know. It's either Fox Hill or Sterling Forest, right?
You know what? I'm still learning all the nuances of those changes, but it's immaterial. It's a residential district now. It's going to be residential or special recreation in the proposed zoning.
I would suggest that we go back and make sure that the property owner knows what it's zoned for. Does that make sense? Marissa Weiss, could you please weigh in on this?
I agree completely. I flag that as well. They shouldn't be advertising it as commercial land without it actually being zoned as such, and especially if there's not even a future plan to do so. That's not a good idea. Additionally, technically, a for sale sign doesn't necessarily even need a permit. It's just the size here is outside of what is currently in the code. I believe that for sale signs, are, especially for residential property, are only supposed to be 6 square feet. My computer would load, and that's quite a difference. I understand they're trying to advertise a large property for the area, but still.
The town code for freestanding signs is not to exceed 10 feet and in height, and not to exceed 5 feet in width, for a total area of not to exceed 55 square feet. So we need to look at that too.
Yeah,
I think that's a little big.
Yeah, we need to figure out, because there's a specific provision that requires no permit for sale signs if they're a smaller size. And then there's provisions, as you just pointed out, Dave, regarding just regular freestanding signs, which they're allowed 2 of. I don't even know how many other signs are on the property as of right now. It's something we should check as well. In addition to letting them know that this is not a commercial site and making sure they're aware of that.
Yeah, but I was trying to figure out the code, which went on for several pages on signs. I thought that what Dave was referring to was sort of what you would have in front of a commercial building. For instance, like the building just south of the library, saying what businesses are.
Right. I think you're right. Our code lacks that definition. It just says freestanding sign standards, right? So they're not defined at all. It just says that.
Yeah, and freestanding signs are allowed in every district technically right now with your code. I think that's supposed to change.
I guess my concern would be yours too, Michelle. I think it was you that stated that, or someone, maybe it was Jay, that a sign of this size in or in proximity to a residential area is pretty tacky. I know I wouldn't want to look at that if I lived over there, so.
Obviously, the discussion about signs and meeting code is extremely important, but obviously what overrides that is the posting that this is commercial land. I mean, first and foremost, we have to contact this broker, Walter Dean, and make it clear that, no, this is, what, as Jay's pointing out, where are you getting this information? Isn't that what we're saying here? Most importantly?
Yep.
Currently zoned residential, and that's the proposed zoning.
So, I mean, I find, so, yes, Jay, you're surmising that this broker used the county map to determine that? I mean, that's the process?
So let me see if I can try to share some stuff here. Ta-da! This map, let's start here.
Okay.
This is the property in question right here. And you guys can take my word for it, or you can squint and try to figure it out yourself later.
Oh, I see. The one that has, I can see it. It's sort of a long rectangle with nothing written.
Rectangle right here.
Right.
Yeah. Perhaps this square piece here, it's a little unclear from the map, but if you look at, no, it's this one here. Okay. And you can see this is R3.
Right.
Now, this is the 1975 map, which is the official zoning map for the town of Tuxedo currently.
Right. Good job.
This is the draft proposed map we're currently working on. So anybody taking a screenshot for posterity, this is not official yet. This is what we're looking at. And this is the property in question right here.
Right.
And it is in R3. Now, some of the things around it have shifted in the names, but basically the east side of Route 17 is commercial of various kinds. The west side is residential or special recreation. This is the map on the Orange County website. If you search for Tuxedo zoning, this is the parcel in question. But if you go to that website, this map is called out as being unofficial and not necessarily correct. And if everyone bears with the Disney vision for a minute, the County of Orange makes no warranty whatsoever as to the accuracy or completeness of any information depicted on this map.
Okay.
All right.
That's I think where they made, that's why they're saying it's commercial, because the only zoning map that they can get their hands on, unless they go visit Donna or whoever's the keeper of the map this week in town hall, is this one. Right.
1970 map that you've been.
The 1975 map is the official one. So, but this map, for whatever reason, the county has misassigned the zoning of this lot in their unofficial map. So I'm going to say that this is an honest mistake on the part of the realtor. It could be an honest mistake on the part of the owner, but we need to let them know that they've made an error. And then let them reconsider what they want to do about a sign. So I would say that we should take no action for right now on this, except that.
Yeah. Also, when you were showing what the county map has, it's at neighborhood business, and I don't think we've never considered that to be neighborhood business.
It wasn't, but the zoning on the east side of the road in the 75 map, and in the county's unofficial map is neighborhood business in that area.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. That's also incorrect. Because the only zoning we're considering is general business.
Sure.
But they don't know what the county does is they take whatever they have available for zoning maps, link it to their GIS, and then make their best effort to get the zoning right. So they look at zoning resolutions, they look at all these other things, and somebody painted that site the wrong color.
Right.
This is one of the reasons that we're going through all these exercises to get an official map, and then we'll publish that, and it'll go to the county as the official map, and they will hold the correct map.
So who then responds, who should be responding to the applicant, the person who wants the sign?
Probably should be the code enforcement officer.
Okay.
Well, Dave Rakish is on this call. He's on this meeting. I'd like to give him an opportunity to turn his phone on and join the conversation.
Dave,
Can you hear me?
yep,
Anybody hear me?
you're unmuted.
Everybody else should mute while he's talking so that it will improve his signal.
Yes, Dave, we hear you.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I had to leave for a few minutes. My neighbor's elderly and he fell down and then I can pick him up. Okay, so what is the question on hand?
Well, we have.
Jay, could you summarize?
Sure. So this sign permit application, somebody's mic is making my head hurt. But the sign permit application is to put a for sale commercial property sign on this property at the north end of Stevens Lane at the junction with 17.
Okay.
That property is currently zoned R3. The proposed zoning as we currently hold it will be R3. But the county map, the county has an unofficial zoning map. If you go ask them about what the zoning in town of Tuxedo is, and they show that as being a neighborhood business zone property, so a commercial property. So it's the feeling of the board, let me rephrase that. It's my understanding of the feeling of the board that the correct course of action is for somebody, and the code official seems like the correct person, to call up either the realtor and the owner and say, hey, by the way, you don't have the property, that property isn't commercial.
Okay, I would think that anybody buying a piece of property, normally they do their due diligence and find out exactly what it's owned by contacting our office if there's a question with the zoning.
One would think, but someone's put an application to put a sign up that says for sale commercial property. So if they've done their due diligence, they've done it wrong. In any event, it seems that somebody should call them, tell them, and the suggestion was made, you would probably be the right person to do that. If you think it's not the case,
Where's the sign? Where's the sign exactly? Stevens Lane, you said?
it would be on Stevens Lane. It's, wait one. I don't have an address. It's 10-1-1. Section block and lot.
It's on 17. You're talking about it's on 17 somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's right. It fronts the intersection, the north intersection between Stevens and 17. It's that piece of property that's currently owned by the school.
Excuse
So
me,
it's up
Dave, do you
to-
remember when they used to have the sign for Tuxedo School on 17?
Yeah.
It's right, I believe it's right there. Like right
All right, 'cause
before
I just-
Stevens Lane.
It did not pop out at me today. I mean, I did my rounds. It didn't pop out at me. So you're claiming that it's not zoned commercial. The county map is incorrect. there is an issue with the maps. One map was never, the map we have in the office supposedly is not correct. So this has been an issue for a while.
The map that
But
we
I'll
have
look
in the,
into it. I mean, I'll look
we have
into
in the
it.
office is correct. It's the current zoning, unless there's a resolution that I don't know about that changed the zoning of that parcel.
Yeah, there was an issue with that map in the office. Some of the things were not in line with what the county had. So it was an ongoing thing, and then all this happened.
Right. I mean, the county's map is noted on their website as being unofficial,
Okay.
but I mean, that's a different issue. I mean, we're not changing the zoning of this site.
I'm going to confirm the zoning we have on record, and if it's and highway business is commercial. So even if we have HB, it's still highway business is commercial also.
Yeah, but that's only on the east side of 17 in that area, as far as I can tell from the zoning.
All right, I'll call the people up, and I'll confirm it and call them up if it's not. If it's an R2 or R3 zone, I'll let them know.
Thank you. If it is, in fact, commercial, then let us know, because we're working under different information. So
Listed sign, the sign list. So the sign lists that it's commercial.
They're applying for a sign.
yeah, they don't have a sign there yet, but their application shows us the copy of the sign, and it says commercial property for lease, for sale.
Oh, so can you give me their number?
Yes.
You have the application.
Full package.
If somebody send me a text or something with the number, and I'll call it, and I'll also look into what it says on ours, and we'll take it from there.
Dave, it's an easy one, 351-0001.
I'm going
All right.
to also forward the application to you, Dave, so you can look at it.
Perfect, that'd be great.
The reason why I didn't send it to you in the beginning is because it's not a permanent sign. And so I went this
Yeah,
way, but I will make sure you get it in your email. Right now, I'm doing it.
No, I know you normally do that because the board approves the short-term signs, not me.
Right. Correct. So I'll get that to you.
So yeah, I'll confirm that the section lot and block is 1011.
Yes.
All right, we'll confirm what we have and let you guys know.
You'll see on the application, there's actually a cell phone number also. The applicant is Walter Dean, Deane, Box 3, Tuxedo Park, Fine Homes. And there's a cell phone. I'm not going to read it in a public meeting right now, but it's on the application.
Okay.
Okay, the other question, Dave, that we had, this is Michelle, is the size of the sign. And we've all been reading through the code, the current code, and I guess first we find out, we've been working with the official 1975 map and the proposed zoning map. And then we've asked Marissa Weiss to give us some advice on the size of the sign as well. So there's two issues to discuss.
Definitely, it's dependent on whether or not it's a commercial or a residential property. So I think that's step one.
Oh, definitely. We're not approving the sign. Is advertising commercial property when, according to the town, it's not.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
That's the first issue.
yeah. So if you could let me know after you contact Mr. Dean, what the status is. Probably, we probably want to respond as soon as possible, even possibly before the next town board meeting, so we know what the case really is.
Yep, I'll find out probably tomorrow.
Okay, so I think we can move off this issue now. Unless Jay or anybody else has anything to add.
I don't.
Well, thank you. I think that was a very enlightening discussion, and thank God we didn't approve the sign permit for a property that's not commercial. All right, the second item for discussion is outdoor dining. Michelle,
Well, we discussed this at the last board meeting, and I know Dave is on the call, so I know Dave was meeting with the businesses that wanted to do the outdoor dining. Now, Howard Potter had sent us some applications that other towns are doing, and I just thought we would discuss what Howard sent to us. And if we want to go this route, I mean, obviously, we're at a point where we're going to be back to indoor dining in the near future. But until then, do we want to look at these guidelines for outdoor dining that Howard sent? I'll just highlight a few of the requirements for the permit. And it says temporary outdoor dining permit for food establishments not seeking to use town right-of-way or streets. And the main highlight seems to be that they're supposed to submit a plan showing the location of the proposed outdoor dining. And it doesn't have to be done by an engineer. It says plan can be hand-drawn on existing survey, site plan, or aerial map from Google Maps. And they just want to the business owner to show that the tables and chairs would be in accordance with social distancing guidelines set by the state of New York, and that the total number of seats would be indicated on the plan. So do we want to go this route? Or just have Dave Makish make a determination?
I go with Dave Makish determination.
yeah, I think, we're so far into this. Phase 3, I believe, starts tomorrow, where 50% of the dining moves indoors, if I'm understanding that correctly. And, we had authorized Dave Makish to work with the 4 restaurants that we named, which is Dottie Audrey's, Orange Top, Steve's, and Tuxedo Sushi. And, Dave's on the phone. I'd want to see, as far as I know, there has been no complaints or issues related to the conditions at those 4 sites. Dave, to my understanding, Tuxedo Sushi has not even requested that. Last time I think I left off with you that even Steve's was not requesting that. So I know you visited Dottie Audrey's the day after our last conversation, and they've been following your instructions. And then the Orange Top has a few tables outside. So I'd like you to weigh in. Have they followed? Have you approved their outdoor plan? And have there been any safety concerns?
I'm back on unmuted. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, but you have that right, Ken. The sushi place did not ask for anything. Steve said he's not gonna. He doesn't. He just wants to wait. Dottie Audrey's has outdoor seating on their on the walkway. They were going to put some tables in the first 2 spots, and we were going to have them blocked in with cars, like kind of 1 car and then 2 cars in front, so nobody could hit the gas and hit them by mistake. And Orange Top, they got that 1 table, sometimes 2 out there. So they're totally far apart from each other. To make them go do a big barricade, I didn't feel that's necessary there because the parking is pretty far away from where those spots are. They have it roped off pretty good.
I've a few times. I expected you to say that, quite frankly. And again, I I think Michelle could advise as to which town this application was drafted by or initiated by. But I would imagine it's a town with a lot more than 4 restaurants, of which only 2 are even were even interested in temporary outdoor dining. You know, the Dottie Audrey's thing was already in place. It was pretty much a no-brainer. And the few tables that I see outside the Orange Top, as you report, you know, I know you went and met with them almost immediately. And, you know, that's why, you know, we decided that it was your call. And I'm satisfied with that. I'd like to open it up to the rest of the town board. I heard Dave McMillan say that he didn't have an issue. But this is an open discussion, please. Open the table.
Well, I'll weigh in. According to the NY Forward website, which is the official guidance on all things reopening from the state, Hudson Valley, which includes us, of course, is scheduled to go into phase 3 tomorrow. And phase 3 includes reopening indoor dining, table seating, you know, with restrictions. So I don't think that we're going to get much more call for people wanting outside dining if we hadn't had it yet. And I think what we got going now works, so I wouldn't change it.
Thank you, Maria. Did you have any comment on that?
You're still muted, Maria.
Sorry. Yeah, it sounds like you have, Dave has the best knowledge of, you know, what's going on now. And I think we should keep it the way it is.
It's Michelle. I agree. I just, you know, we had brought this up in May and Howard had sent, you know, because who knows how long we were going to be in each phase. But now that we are entering phase 3, you know, we'll be moving back to indoor dining soon.
Jay, did it mention, is it a 50% cap on capacity inside in phase 3?
I'll look it up, but
My understanding is, yes, you have to limit to 50% of nominal capacity, and tables have to be 6 feet apart, and there are other disposable menus and all kinds. You know, people have to wear masks, and there's a whole thorough manual of regulations to do it.
Seating arrangement is still viable in phase 3 because of those restrictions indoor, in case they overflow, right? So Dave, once again, like I said, the ball's in your court to determine from my position.
this is Michelle. I
Okay.
guess my question would be, when you met with them, Dave, did they present their plan to you? I mean, as Jay was just saying, the restrictions with masks and disposable menus and things like that.
They were pretty much educating me on it. They know exactly what they got to do.
Great, that's great.
I will follow up and go inside when it opens up and say, hey, how we doing here? And I'm sure they'll explain to me the table's got to be here, blah, blah, blah. And like I said, they're pretty up on it because they know the rules. They know they can be shut down if they don't follow them. So they're in tune with it more than us.
Excellent.
The 2 entities that I know of that can ask a proprietor for the plan is yourself and the police. And so they need to be prepared to answer those. But again, we're moving to phase 3 tomorrow. If they maintain the 6 feet apart tables indoors, the disposable menus, the masks, of course, the servers are supposed to be wearing the masks, and customers obviously aren't eating with masks on. But so Dave, that's what, you know, that falls under the purview of the building inspector. So that's why we wanted to make sure we had this conversation. But what I don't want this to be confused with is anybody who's applying for outdoor dining on a permanent basis. This has nothing to do with that. This was just COVID-19 accommodations to keep restaurants in business and to promote, make sure we're doing everything possible to help our local businesses. But I guess I want to be sure that, and I understand that Steve Germano's plan might be varying, might be changing. I don't know. If you have any information about that, I just want to make sure that none of this temporary dining communications from executive order and New York Forward are confused. We want to make sure that Steve has clear guidance that this has nothing to do with permitting permanent outdoor dining. That still has to go through planning board approval, site plan, and I'll let you guys weigh in about that. I want to make sure there's no confusion there.
John Daniel's on the call if you want to ask him to weigh in.
That's fine. I welcome that, John. You can unmute yourself. Actually, see 3 Johns in the queue and in the participant list. Will the real John please unmute himself? Well, John, you can if you're having technical difficulties. I'm not sure what we could do to alleviate that. You could use the chat feature, I would imagine.
Yeah, if your cursor hovers over, oh, Colin, no, that's Dave. You can hit the.
I saw John. He just unmuted for a second. John, whatever you just did unmute you.
Oh, that was me, Ken. I was trying. So John is a call-in user. So just give me a second to find him.
Okay, thank you. We'll be quiet.
All right. Okay, John, can you speak?
Yes, this is John. You can hear me?
Okay, I have you now. Go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, Ken is absolutely right. As far as any permanent outdoor dining has to be shown on the site plan and approved by the planning board.
So far, no such application has been presented, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so Dave, in any communications, we just want to make sure, look, we don't want to create any confusion or alleviate any confusion on Steve's end. Just trying to do due diligence here and make sure that he doesn't proceed down a pathway that hasn't been approved.
The Orange Shop does have an outdoor dining area shown on the site plan. But for the Orange Shop, we haven't signed off on that yet. It's very close. But he does have a permanent outdoor dining area shown.
Yes, thank you, John. I did see that and wanted to make sure that, again, the COVID-19 temporary plans don't confuse anybody as to the process.
Correct.
Thank you, John. That's very helpful. Okay, so I as far as I could see, we're not taking any different action on the outdoor dining under the COVID-19 executive orders, both locally or from the governor, and we're letting it play out according to the phase 3, and that Dave Makish is our enforcement code officer who will work with the 2 entities that are using outdoor dining and make that transition. And if you could report back to us, Dave, after the further conversations to the full board, we'd appreciate that.
Yep, okay.
Okay, thank you. So as far, Michelle, I think this number 2 discussion is over unless anybody else has final comment.
Now we're on to department head update.
Okay, well, Dave Makish, I don't know if you had anything else to add, but I think we covered a few areas with you tonight.
No, pretty much. Deborah, as you know, is doing a phenomenal job running the office from home. We're accepting, reviewing permits. We're pretty much doing everything from home. I perform the inspections I can. Sometimes I have to get affidavits if I'm not going into the house, if I don't feel good about it. Fire inspections are being held off until I'm back in the office because it's too much information in the office, which hopefully we're going to be opening soon. And I did want to bring up with the outside dining, tables that are not for dining. Like Steve is proposing to put a couple picnic tables outside, but he's not going to be serving. It's where people could sit. Same thing that the firehouses do. You put tables outside and people sit at them. So I wasn't really sure how to go about that one, but I guess I will take any input if you got any on that.
It seems like one of those gray areas. Jay, have you seen anything in writing? Because again, I've been on dozens of calls with the county health department, and that's been very vague. And to my interpretation, but Marissa, if you have any comment on that, that would be appreciated.
Say that there was an executive order, I think it was either yesterday or late last week, signed with regards. There's been a lot of issues, as we've all heard in the news, with people going off premises and not necessarily being authorized to do so by whatever establishment, especially with to-go cocktails and that sort of stuff. But now within what I think it's 100 feet, I have to double check, but 100 feet of that premises, however you're going to measure that from, I guess, from the corner of their building outward, as far as it goes, they are responsible for anything that happens at that table. So even if they're not providing service to it, they still have to have it, on their insurance. And if something were to happen, they're responsible for that. So that's something we should keep in mind. But again, it's only for COVID-related stuff. So until that, all these executive orders expire from Cuomo with regard to COVID, if they're not extended, then it doesn't apply anymore. But we just have to see if that timeline will mesh with Steve's.
So, in this specific case, these are picnic tables that are owned and put on Steve's premises. So, as opposed to what I think you're describing, this 100-foot distance where somebody purchases something and then kind of wanders off and sits up wherever, and an adjacent property. But this is specific to his property, his tables. So I'm assuming it's product purchased from Steve's. And so does it seem permissible on our end that we let those picnic tables? It sounds pretty much what we're I guess if he presented this plan to Dave, I mean, when we sent Dave Makish out there, Steve told us he wasn't interested. Well, now apparently he's interested, and it seems to me the next step would be, Dave, that you just ask him, well, this is pretty much what we offered to you weeks ago. What's your plan? Is this your plan? We have 2 picnic tables. That seems reasonable. Are they 6 feet apart, these picnic tables? And, are they in a safe, secure area? If it's in his new parking lot, does it seem to you, Dave, that he has some traffic control, that a car, like you said, wouldn't just drive up on these tables? So I think my question or point, Marissa, would be, it seems like that's the one thing that Steve hasn't done. He didn't take us up on the offer to submit a one-pager plan to Dave Makish. So I think that's what we should be asking him to do.
You should be aware of every single, wherever someone's going to sit on his property in light of the public health emergency that's going on, you need to know. It needs to be part of his site plan. It should have whatever narrative describing what he plans to do there and what he plans to allow on file with the building department. That's definitely practice.
So Dave, I would just ask you to revisit him and let him know, look, this is what we had discussed. This is a very temporary COVID-19 order. He needs to present it to you. The minimum is, there's no table service out there. If you did, you'd have to have, like Jay was describing, you'd have to have a mask, paper menus. But if you were actually just doing it as takeout and then bringing it over to this table, no server is bringing you food or any such thing. Then I think what is required would be the 6-foot distancing, and that, Dave, you're comfortable with the location of these tables, that they don't seem to be in any dangerous location based on parking lot traffic.
Yeah, this is at the, he doesn't plan on doing it until COVID is over. So he doesn't plan on doing it.
It's a permanent site plan, though. That's what we were discussing with John Bagno. That's why I'm trying to say there's two separate things. And I want to make sure that Steve Germano understands this. Let's not blur the COVID-19 temporary arrangement with a more permanent thing, because you relayed back to me that he said he wasn't interested in the COVID-19. Well, then if he's not interested in that, there should be nothing happening outside. And Marissa, correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems pretty clear cut to me.
That's correct. Yes.
So Dave, you're authorized to do that. You have been. It's your, it's under your purview. But just make it clear. No, Steve, no, we're trying to avoid you having further difficulties down the road. Do not mix permanent under this COVID thing, because it's not going to fly.
Okay.
And, if he wants to call me, that's fine. But we're trying to avoid problems for him when this is meant to be constructive guidance. Okay. So, Dave, if you don't have any further question about that, we'll move forward off that item.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, I know we have Rob Dolbaum on the phone, or computer, I'm not sure which. Rob, you're up.
Hey, Ken, how are you?
Good to hear you, Rob. I know I owe you a phone call, and we'll do that tomorrow, but if you want to give your...
Well, first, I'd like to ask Ken is, I was on the Economic Development Conference there on Saturday, and I heard somebody, I'm not sure who, was talking about sidewalk grants, possibly. And Michelle might be better to answer that. But I had George from GMC, who's the county bid sidewalk contractor for Orange County, out to look at our sidewalks and some of our problems. I know we had issues in front of the post office, and we have some severe issues along the sidewalks on the opposite side of the street. He suggested maybe like an ADA grant or some other type of grant. And I heard some grant business going back and forth. I'd just like to know if anybody knows of anything like that, who would do that, and where can we go with that?
Well, Rob, this is Michelle.
How are you?
Great, thanks.
Right.
So we could apply under the Community Development Block Grant, unfortunate for ADA sidewalks, but we would have to have a public hearing, and the deadline is coming up, so we don't have time for a public hearing. We don't have time to notice a public hearing.
Okay.
So, but we can always try and do it under the consolidated funding application, which is due at the end of July, and or wait till next year.
Well, I think time is of the essence.
Okay.
Because some of them are quite severe.
Okay.
Some of the sidewalk repairs. Now we can do certain sections. We don't have to do the whole thing, but we can do the most severe now, and then budget for next year.
Right. That's a good way.
Last year I had it in the budget. It got knocked out. So this year, if we're going into budget season, if we can't get a grant, I'm going to have to budget for something.
Okay. And yeah, let's do what what you're saying is we should do the most needed repairs now, and then a bigger plan for next year. And Jay's working on that, the CDBG grants too, so.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Jay. So we will, I think that we're going to wind up, this is going to be in the application for the 2021 grant. So
Is that the entire sidewalk, Jay, or?
we can get money to do ADA
Compliant?
improvements,
Gotcha.
which is a very spongy.
Gotcha. Mhm.
So I'd say what we need to do is identify the areas that need to be
Right.
figure out how we tie that to ADA improvements, so curb cuts and sensory panels and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, yeah.
And we start there, and we need to know how much to ask for. So we need to know how much work we want to do, and we will.
I can put the number together fairly quickly because
That would be useful. It's going to be, they're going to want to see, a little map that shows the areas of work, which we can
yeah, right.
You can also do, absolutely, and you and I can go out there, we'll take some good pictures of what we need.
Okay.
To put a package together.
Okay, then you and I will get together sometime and we'll go out and take a walk and look at it, see what we're gonna, okay, absolutely, that'd be great. That'd be great, yeah.
Is there any, I mean, from the ADA side, typically it's like the crosswalks, the grading, like you're saying, the curb cuts, and I don't know, the material that they put down that seems to not only have some kind of traction, but also, I think that also is to accommodate blind people, that they feel under their feet the tactile change. And also, I think some of the crossing signals have some sound activation that helps blind people understand when the light change. So is there any possibility that we could get that kind of limited scope?
Well, that was done, Ken, when they repaved 17.
Okay, so all that's done.
At the post office light and at the ambulance corps light. Those improvements are made, but only at the crosswalks. That's it. So what, Rob, I know what you're talking about right in front of the post office is another issue.
Correct. But the curb cuts by the entrance to the post or library, that curb cut has to be ADA. It's not ADA compliant. The IGA curb cuts, I'm not talking the one by the intersection. I'm talking the actual curb cuts where the parking lots and driveways go in.
Right.
And they have to be ADA, and they're not. Yeah, and I don't know, because we didn't walk all the way down, but I'm not sure if Hospital Road was done ADA compliant.
I don't think so. I think only where the traffic lights are. So we've got to identify all these other areas.
And I have a problem everywhere there's a catch basin on 17, the sidewalk is collapsing. So there has to be a catch basin issue also, which isn't our sidewalk, but it's under our sidewalk. So, and that is a DOT issue, which I think we're going to end up biting the bullet and fixing it, because if you look at the end of Warwick Brook Road, it's still collapsed from the day they repaved 17. So it doesn't seem to move very fast. But
that may be something different. If we can get those areas identified and we can point to it being, hey, this is your state DOT catch basin that's causing this problem, and we can put together a nice package of all of these issues, then that's something that we can throw at Jen and her counterpart and say, come on, guys, go lean on DOT for us.
Okay, well, then I think that you and I should get together, Jay, and go out and walk, probably sooner than later. And then I'll put a number together also for next year's budget. So in case something happens, it doesn't get where we want it to be this year, we can definitely head with it next year,
Right.
On that tour, Rob, I definitely would want to be on there with you.
Okay. All right, Ken. But now we'll go back to what we're doing. We're patching, we're in the Monbase area. We're finished on Bramertown. We finished the courts, Susan, Alma, Helmstown, and we're on Benjamin Meadow. We should be there another week or so. July 6th is when we are starting our chip sealing program, and that's on the north end of town. Sooner than later, we are going to be changing Laurel Ridge, Clinton Woods, and the north end of town street signs. So everybody be prepared for that. We're going to be changing those. And that's it. Mulch, compost, everybody knows where to find that stuff. And that's about it. That's what we got going. So,
Thank you, Rob.
you're
Any
welcome.
questions for Rob?
I have a comment, Rob. I'm looking at the CFA, the Common Finance Application Grant, and I can look and see if there's anything in there that could be beneficial or help or, outside of the ADA issues.
Okay.
I will look for that and, and see if you have information about, what needs to be done or, maybe I can join you guys or just, give me some financial information. And I'm learning how to do this. So, but Michelle is helping me. So I definitely want to help.
Good. All right. Very good. Yes. Thank you, Maria.
I'm not sure if Chief Abbott is on the phone. Have we been able to identify if Chief Abbott is on the phone? Dave, I would imagine he'd be a call-in. I'm not sure.
I've got them all unmuted. If he's there, he can speak.
Hey, Ken, I have one more thing with Chief Abbott. Last week on Bramertown, when we were patching, there was a lot of not tractor trailers, but dump trucks heading up Bramertown to a new house that's being built in Monroe. And Doug Russell and Will Hall were very helpful in having those guys go around. First off, they were overweight for our road, and second, we were working in the road and they were coming up there with big trucks was a problem. So they got them to go around for us. So I really appreciate that help. That was great. Thank you.
I'll relay that to the chief as well. Thank you. I actually did notice that when I was driving up, and I only saw one truck, but was wondering that there was a pattern. Yeah,
There's somebody building a house on Monbase Lake. He's having 600 loads of fill being delivered. So that's 60 trucks a day, 10 days. It's a lot of fill. And they're big trucks and they're in a hurry to get another load. They kind of forget that there's men working in the road. So it was great that they helped us out. So thank you.
They're coming in from the north off of 19, that back road.
Yes.
Thanks for that update. I was curious.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've determined the chief is not on.
Correct.
I think we're okay with the department head updates, Michelle.
Let's see, we've heard, maybe you could see if John Benyo or Frank Pepperly have anything else to add.
Sure. Welcome that. Absolutely.
This is John. I don't have anything else.
This is Frank. I have nothing.
Thank you, John and Frank.
Hey, Ken, one more thing. We're moving ahead with getting ready to do some cleaning up on a site up there. Any seasonal employees that we could use a few seasonal employees for that project. Must be 18 years old or retired or whatever. But if they want to do a little part-time work, somebody's looking for part-time work, we can use a hand. So
Do you have a little job description we can put on the town board website on the front page or anything?
I can get that for you tomorrow, Ken. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let me ask, this is in your budget or are we looking for something different?
No, this is in the other cleanup budget.
Hey, those are music to my ears. If it's in a budget and you have a job description, it sounds like we're ready to go.
Ken, question from Irene DeNaro, and I guess to you, Rob.
Yes.
Thank you, Irene. Please go ahead with this. Go ahead, read it, please, Dave. Sorry.
What happened to the stop signs in Laurel Ridge? They were missing for several days to a week and they were put back up. Any input on that, Rob?
Yes, Dave. Nobody seems to know what happened to them. Somebody removed the stop signs, posts and all. We found out about it last Thursday. I had to order new signs. We got them in Tuesday, and I think they were back up on Wednesday. No, I had a report. Officer Shiloh filled out a report, and then Stefan Christensen called me on Wednesday asking where they went. It was a week. They were gone for a week. He never even realized they were gone. Don't know where they went. Was it a prank? Was it? Don't know. Don't know. But they're back up.
Sounds like maybe somebody was adorning their man cave with some accoutrements from the street, huh?
Well, either that or they're protesting stopped something, and they got the post and all, right? I don't know.
Go ahead, Maria.
I just want to thank Bob for the signs on Route 17A. It is that you put in so people aren't going on the wrong side of the road. They're great, they're big, they're and for people, I know for a fact that sometimes when you're on Waze or whatever, they send you the wrong way on roads. So thank you for putting them up there. They're huge.
That was a DOT. That was, we called about it because there had been a couple people wrong way accidents, and so they got to it relatively quicker than I thought they would. But they did do a good job. Yeah, absolutely. If you go the wrong way now, it's your fault. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think we've gone through department head updates.
Hello.
Donna wants to.
Donna, please go ahead.
Oh, am I on?
You're on now.
Okay. So I had to come to the meeting a little bit later because I was at the train station setting up for the vote. Did we touch on opening up town hall on Monday? I can't hear you.
Ken, you're on mute.
No, I have to unmute. Thank you. So yes, I'm gonna work with Marissa on formalizing our discussions, Donna. Everything that you and I and Claire had spoken about, Marissa said, yeah, just let's put it in writing. We were talking about, signage outside, the 6-foot spacing of these X's on the floor, just continuing to put clear signage outside. We'd add, so you and I, yes, I have notes, and we'll work directly with Marissa and formalize that so we can get that out and clear.
Perfect. And then the only other, what's that?
I'm sorry, it would still be under executive order, so we will be extending the executive order, but just clarifying these next opening changes that were modifications.
Okay, thank you. And the only other call from Gary Phelps, he was just wondering if the chain that goes across the Lucky that Rob put up, was that supposed to be unlocked? because he said there's cars parked in there and the chain is down. So I guess that's a question for Rob.
Not that I know of, Donna. It shouldn't be, no, that
No, it
shouldn't.
should still be up.
Right.
Okay.
Now, that being said, who is using it, I don't know, but it's the fire department's combination to all their locks. So, so that in case there was an emergency, they could open it and get in. So is it somebody in the fire department? Is it somebody that knows the combination? And we could always change that if we have to. Absolutely.
Okay, well, he said he called and Doug Russell was coming over to check it out. So he doesn't know if the chain was, broke. Somebody
Right.
broke it and pulled their car in because there's a car parked in there. So he's checking it out, but he just wanted to make sure that it was not supposed to be taken down.
No, not by us. Not.
I'll let him know.
I'm not taking it down until I'm directed to do so. And what I thought the next chapter in that saga was a gate like we had put by the highway garage. Now, I don't know if we're still moving ahead with that, the chain's sufficient. I don't know where we're at with that.
Okay, I'll just let him know that it's supposed to be up. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
All right.
To follow up on that notion, sometimes it's hard to figure out whose purview it is, but if we could get a quote on a gate, then we look at the budget, where are we going to pay for it? And so I think that everybody on the town board was supportive of trying to find a more permanent solution. And if you didn't hear it, well, I want to echo, we've had other meetings where everybody said, yeah, it's followed through like the next day. And sorry if we didn't say it, but we're appreciative. And the only thing I'd add, Donna, if Mr. Phelps actually noted a license plate or something that Detective Russell or, Sergeant Russell or Tuxedo PD could at least follow up, whose car is it? Is it? And of course, whether the chain was broken or it just seems like, again, somebody knew the combination. But I would imagine if it was somebody who knew the combination, they would have enough sense to re-put it up, and lock it, because they certainly could get out if they parked there.
The car was still there, I believe. So I'll ask him. I'll check with him.
To see, we could find out if it was, a local with the combination and just at least have a cordial conversation saying, look, we're trying to get past this.
Okay.
And then Ken, I'll get a quote on gate.
That'd be great. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, so I want to move down to the vouchers. Public comments, I'm sorry. Public comments. Dave, if you can manage this with some magic, Dave McMillan.
Sure. Anybody who has a public comment, please make a chat request. And I'll open your microphone.
If they're a call-in user, can they?
Yeah, the call-in users
Unmute their own phone.
are Dave, John, and there's one other call-in user I don't know. So I'll just unmute the call-in user. Call-in users, you are now unmuted if you have any public comments. Okay, no takers yet, Ken.
I'll wait another few seconds. Sometimes it takes a little while. Okay, and in the chat, I don't think I see anything. Irene Dainero said thank you. And
That's it.
okay, so no public comments, so I will move to the vouchers. I'll read it and then ask for a second. Resolved that the following vouchers having been audited by the town board are hereby approved for payment. Claims number 201-291-6936 through 201-291-6999. Please note 201-291-6938 was deleted due to an entry error. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Maria. I'll do a roll call vote. Dave McMillan.
Aye.
Sorry, Dave, you might be muted.
Aye.
Ken English, aye. Maria May,
Aye.
Jay Reichcott,
Aye.
and Michelle Lindsay.
Aye.
Okay. So I guess now that Dawn is on, she's making a note of that. Michelle, you might need to share with her the other notes you made on who seconded.
I did, yeah, I will do that, yeah.
Okay. And according to my flow chart, we are at the ever popular adjournment.
Can I just talk about something very briefly? Just very briefly, I want to touch on. It's
You
more
have the
comment.
microphone, sir.
We don't have a solution for it. There probably can't be, but I'd like to bring it forward to the board. I've experienced it myself. It's not within our jurisdiction. However, it does create one heck of a public safety issue for Tuxedo and its residents. We all know that construction zone down in Sloatsburg at the end of the southern boundary of Tuxedo is underway, and every day it's operating during business hours. However, in the past couple of weeks, there's been some serious downtime in traffic where they absolutely have closures of the road for 15 to 20 minutes at a time. Traffic is at a standstill, backed up through the hamlet. The only concern that I have, obviously, the number one concern, how are our emergency vehicles going to traverse that situation? So just a comment for now. Obviously, there's some other people that would need to be brought into that discussion. That construction zone is a nightmare. We get that, right? I wouldn't be able to dream up any solution to it right away, but it needs to be noted. Okay, so I'm done with that.
Ken, unless somebody has a follow-up to Dave. Ken, were you going to send us the conference call number for executive session? You want to send it to us by email or something?
Maybe I'm confused. I thought we were pushing that to Thursday at 5:30.
I thought that was for other items. Okay. I guess we could try and do it all.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to review any of the feedback we got from Howard Trotter. I think he did send him a letter late in the day. I'm not even sure if he sent it to everybody. I'm sorry, I had a contractor emergency at my house today that really knocked me off kilter here.
All right, so you just want to try and do everything on Thursday then? I mean, an hour is going to be kind of tough to.
We probably won't get to everything, that's for sure. I mean, I could look that up. If the board can stay on the line, I could look that up right now. The conference call. Or I could open another WebEx if you want me to do that.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, do you think we could, if you want, we could just try and do as much on Thursday, but.
I'll let you make the call. You tell me and I'll do it.
Sorry, you didn't have, yeah, if you didn't have time to review, I don't, Jay and Maria and Dave, did you get a chance to review the letter draft?
Yes, I reviewed it.
I did too.
Me too.
Are you prepared? You want me to send a conference call number or establish a second WebEx? I think we could also use the Teams WebEx. Can we just flip over to that?
We can.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to go into a session with our attorney to receive attorney advice. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Seconded by Dave McMillan. I'll take a roll call vote. Maria May,
Aye.
Jay Reichcott,
Aye.
Ken English, aye. Michelle Lindsay,
Aye.
and I don't think I asked Dave McMillan.
Aye.
Did I ask Dave already? I'm sorry, I lost my thought. Well, we have more votes anyway.
And I, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So Dave's gonna open up, this is only for town board members and Marissa and obviously Donna. So anybody else who tries to log on will not be admitted. Okay, this is Ken English, Town Supervisor, 9:55 on Monday, June 22nd. I'd like to reopen our public meeting, town board meeting, 9:54. Do I need to make a motion for that, Marissa, excuse me, or just state that?
You should make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to reopen the meeting. Do I have a second? Seconded by Dave McMillan. Let's make a note, please, Michelle. Take a vote. Maria May?
Michelle doesn't seem to be on the call yet.
Michelle hasn't joined us.
Well, we have a quorum, so
Yeah, but she can't make notes if she's not on the call.
that's true. I'm writing it down as well, though.
Okay.
And it's recorded.
Seconded by Dave, motion by Ken. Thank you for pointing that out, though. And we had a aye. There she is, I think.
There she is.
Yeah, that's her.
All right, Michelle, I made a motion at 9:54 to reopen the meeting, seconded by Dave. I'll go through the roll call again. Dave McMillan to open.
Aye.
Maria,
Hi.
Ken English, aye. Jay
Aye.
and Michelle.
Aye.
I guess we're going to then, somebody want to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting of the town board at 9:56 PM. Oops, sorry, 9:57 PM. Do I have a second?
Seconded by me, Ken.
Okay, I'll take roll call. Ken,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
Maria,
Hi.
myself, Michelle, aye. Okay. We are
Okay,
adjourned
so
at
this meeting
9:57.
has ended at 9:57. So Michelle, the notes were,
I got it.
okay.
Marissa, thank you.
Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a nice night, you guys.
Good night, thank you.
Nice night.
Thank you.